Your vision, your identity, your values, your mindset are all some of the amazing topics we talk about with business coach Ken Gielen. But my absolute favorite part about this interview was Ken's reframe on discipline. Ken, why business coaching for you?
Well, that's kind of a long story. It started 14 years ago. At the moment, I was working in corporate world at the age of 34. And because of the crisis back then, I was made redundant. I was the general manager back then of a manufacturing plant in the automotive industry. Because of the crisis, they had to disinvest and they were closing down the plant. And then I said, well, I don't ever want to have my fate or my destiny in the hands of somebody sitting somewhere in the world looking at a spreadsheet and taking decisions. So I did some traveling to my interior, and then I looked at my background in sports. I've had many coaches and trainers. I was a athlete in the swimming, in competition swimming. And then I've had my mentors also in that career. In 12 years, I did 6 jobs inside that company with several people helping me, succession planning and so forth. And then one of my colleagues of the MBA before that, so I'm a mechanical engineer by studies, and he was back then the master franchise for Actioncoach. And I got to know him. I got to know the purpose of the company, the vision. And it was like love at first sight. But that's how I got into business coaching. It was not natural for me. My family is not so entrepreneurial. So I wanted to start my own business, get my own flexibility, and then teach, share my experience, my knowledge, and be the coach. That's something I really enjoy. Maybe not so much in sports. I'm still doing lots of sports today. But really to inspire people to have this, to be a help, to be a lever for them to get more results. So it's now 14 years ago. I remember as it was yesterday. It was not an easy period back then, as you can imagine, that closing down a manufacturing plant, having to let go 350 people to the unemployment. It was not an easy task, but I've learned a lot from it. And even today, those stories, they still are with me and can inspire other business owners in a way that, okay, I had to go through this. Please make sure that you do this and this, that you don't go through that. So to protect the employment and the families that you're responsible for.
So sports to business, what's the correlation between the two for you?
Well, I can just give an example. Last year, for many years, I had on my bucket list to do an Ironman, and then last year I went to see the competition, the race, and I said to myself, well, I have to do that one day. And then everything that came as a result of that decision is also what happens in business. You take an investment decision, and then you get doubts. And then I said, okay, I have to surround myself with a good team, with the masseuse, with the physical therapist, with the trainer, nutritionist, so the whole team, so that it can become better and really fulfill and complete that race. And in business is the same thing. Business, it's for many people that run the business alone, it is a very lonely job. If you have problems, if you have challenges, it's not easy to bring them home because you don't want to worry anybody. If you have problems or challenges, sometimes it's not easy to share them with the team. So it's a very lonely job or function. And just as in sports, if I didn't have my training mates, if I didn't have my coach and so on, it would be very lonely to do all these 12 to 15 hours of practice every week. So it's very similar, sports and business. So if you are surrounded with the right people that give you a push, that hold you accountable, that inspire you to do more and to do better, that's where we really can get to our potential. Because we alone, we do not know what is our potential. So we need to have always this outside perspective. And like in sports, business, the same thing. The outside perspective doesn't take any emotion, so it takes the emotion away, and it's a very clear and objective point of view of what's happening, what's the reality, and all the opportunities for growth. We can't see our own blind spots, So yeah, I see lots of similarities between business and sports.
So there's so many things I want to unpack in what you've just said. First of
Mhm.
all, how are you going with that goal? Because I think that you have just achieved that for yourself. You just did the Ironman, right?
Yes,
Yes,
we're
congratulations.
19 this year. Thank you, thank you. Wasn't an easy race. The first goal was to finish it. The second goal was to do it in a certain amount of time. I did over that time, but I finished it. And not even 1 second over along those 13 hours, it crossed my mind to give up. So it was, yeah, really, I was ready. Because of all the help I had, I was really prepared to do the race. And then, of course, I had my teammates besides the sideline, cheering on and giving all the incentives that I needed.
So you've said there's a couple of keys to the success with achieving the Ironman. You
Hmm.
have surrounded yourself by a team, so you've got the
Hmm.
support. You had your teammates, so the people that
Hmm.
you were training with, your
Hmm.
peers, and then having the mindset around the discipline, really around the practice and the preparation for the goal. So
Hmm.
when we think about business, why don't we think like that as a business owner?
Well, I can't talk for all the business owners. It's a really great question. I can unpack it of what I did when I took this important decision. I sat down with a coach and I had to ask questions and be asked many questions. And one of the things I think it stood out for me is most people or most business owners, they don't stop to think, they don't stop to reflect. So in this moment in working with my coach, I stopped to think and to reflect about the decision I just had made. And then the coach asked me a question that still is with me today, and I ask many business owners and also my coaches: is who do you need to be to cross that finish line? What's your identity having achieved that kind of goal? And I said, okay, let's dig into that. And then she asked, what do you most value? So what are your values, which is basically your guidance system that helps make you take decisions during this year of preparation, so that you take the right decisions, and it's an easier way of coping with the challenges. So we set these 5 values, which is commitment, resilience, integrity, abundance, and responsibility. And I said, okay, this is interesting. Commitment was like I committed to it, so I can't go out. I knew injuries would be coming up, so resilience was like a natural thing to me. The integrity is okay. I have to combine both professional, business life, family life, and this training, because you have to 12 to 15 hours to dedicate to this per week. You need to take out some time from family and from business. It was the abundance. I'm not worried. I will be giving to the community, whether it is the Actioncoach community, the business community here in Portugal. I will just give, and I know that when you give, you get something in return. And then the last one was responsibility, and that was because I've had some injuries in the past, and apparently my limit of supporting pain is quite high. So if I go too high, then injuries pop up and I go too far. So it was responsibility, can think. It was the abundance, the integrity, resilience, and commitment. And I've been doing this exercise with many of my business coaching clients, business owners, really asking, okay, what do you value most? Who are you as a business owner? I can understand who you are as a technician. We all can see that in the business market, in the marketplace, many of the business owners, they really are technicians, and then growing their business and then becoming more entrepreneurial, more management, more leader. But there is no reflection, there is no tools. You don't teach it, or they don't teach you at school. It's who you really are, who you need to become, and what do you value most, so that you have your clear rules of decision making based on those values. And when you do an exercise like this, like I did in the Ironman, it's really become clear what's the power of that. Because people take decisions unconsciously. And if you program that subconscious talking about values and building your identity around those values, yeah, it's amazing what the results that it can bring, because everything then seems natural. And actually, we did with our team. I'm also a business owner. I'm also being coached. So with our team, we did the same thing this year, which is okay. What's the focus next year? So it is about around abundance and growth mindset. So we do not take anything for granted, or we do not take anything for fixed. So we can change anything we would like to in the future. And then we came up with four values, which is congruence, consistency, focus, and value, or valuing what we do. And you already see the shift of the whole team, just putting a theme to a year and then focusing on certain values that get you a step further than you were or that you are today. It all starts with mindset. So it can be mindset, mind reset, or set your mind. We can use the three things as a basic point.
Say that again. What are the three things? That was just gold. I just kind of dropped the mic moment. I want you to repeat that so we get that.
So it's mindset.
Yes.
It's mind reset. When you have some difficulties, you have to, or you can use tools to have a mind reset. And then it's set your mind. So it's three different ways of looking at it, three approaches, and just use it as you need. Sometimes, for example, in every morning, I set my mind. Okay, I do certain routines in the morning. It comes from a very good book from Hal Elrod, which is the Savers, the Miracle Mornings. And that's where you set your mind. Okay. And everything that goes along the day, you need to think of the mindset that you set in the morning. And when you feel something is not okay, you need to do a mind reset and always falling back to what you have defined in the beginning. So it's your fallback system, and it all starts with mindset. It's where the magic happens. We can have our gut, we can have our brain, but it's with mindset. It's with the feelings that comes with it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Ken, you mentioned earlier about the identity, the B, and how as a business owner, we are a great engineer, mechanic, at doing the things in our business, in our craft. But it's the B. Who are we? Who do we need to be as a business owner? Can you talk me through that process?
Well, everything depends on what's the vision of the business and how far people want to go. Not everybody wants to become a multimillionaire. Not everybody wants to go abroad and take business international. But it has to do, so your B has to do what you want to take out of the business. Business can give you more life. What I do see in many opportunities of talking to business owners is that they become enslaved to the business. So suddenly they're just doing too many jobs in the business. And if you work on your mindset, on your identity, is okay, I can take on three roles maybe. I can take on the role of the technician, I can take on the role of the manager, and I can take on the role of the leader or the entrepreneur. A great book, by the way, The E-Myth from Michael Gerber. And then you can look at how can I leverage what's easier to delegate. And most of the times it is the technician part. But as most of the business owners, they just love doing the technical parts. That's not something that they would like to leverage or to get leverage on, to delegate. So yeah, it's really to decide on what you want out of business. So focus on the dreams, on what business can provide for you and your family. And then take that approach. Do it for somebody else and not only for your own ego, just to feel good in business, but actually just have a job. So there is a difference between having a job, being the technician in your business, and having a business where you are managing and leading a team to who you are delegating tasks and buying back your time. Another great book, by the way, Dan Martell, Buying Back Your Time. Yeah, all these books keep popping up in my head. I have to share them. So,
Great, love it.
Yeah, that's a decision. And with coaching, with business coaching, you have those two sides of the story. You have the coaching part where we work on this mindset, on this identity, on the values, on the beliefs, essentially the beliefs, trying to convert the limiting beliefs to the empowering beliefs, and then working on skills and behaviors, routines, and so on. So this is really the coaching part. And then the business part is because there's so many already success leaves clues, right? So there's so many successful businesses, whether it is in franchising or to franchise your business or to set up agencies and take your business abroad. There are so many good examples in business and with the best practices that if you do them, you will get the benefit from it. And I believe at Actioncoach we have done a fantastic job along these 31 years, which is creating menus. I call them menus, right? So when you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu. When you sit with a business coach in a planning or goal definition, then we look at the menus. Okay, what are the strategies and tactics that we have to learn in order to implement them and then get to the result that we want? And the result, so the motivation comes from the personal goals, not from the business goals. So it's motivation, it's your motive for action. It comes from personal goals. So business can give you more life, and you do the right things if you have in mind your personal goals that you want to get out of it. So the business is actually a vehicle towards your personal goals. And many people don't see it like that because they just get stuck in the day-to-day business, putting out fires, just doing the work, and don't really reflect and stop to reflect on, okay, where am I and where I want to be? And I need assistance, I need help because I can't see my own blind spots. And that's where the business and coaching really is very powerful if used in full potential.
So Ken, there was a couple of things you said around resilience, mindset, discipline. You know, when a business owner is busy doing all the things, they often have the discipline to keep going. Like they've got the drive, consciously or unconsciously. It takes discipline to stop and check in and work on the right things that are going to help them move the needle forward. For you, when it came to discipline, you know, what were the things that kind of helped you have that discipline, like in your training for the Ironman, in business? Because it's a bit more than just mindset.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, for me, discipline, it's a consequence. We are what we repeatedly do. So it's about setting up the routines and then don't break the chain of having those routines. Another book popping up in my head is James Clear with his Atomic Habits. And it's always the planning the next step. Like you plan, okay, next morning I have a practice. I don't wait till next morning to decide if I go to practice. So for which I would need very much discipline. It's just on my plan on the evening before. I prepare everything, nutrition, the gear, everything is ready, everything is planned. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to take decisions. So if you have to make lots of decisions, then really discipline is a key. If you take the decision on forehand without any emotion, without any feeling of the moment, it makes it just so easy. And like, for example, when we work with our business owners and they just have this, they don't need to have a discipline to work on the business and to set some time apart, 4 to 5 hours a week to read or to study. They just have it in their agenda. They don't take the decision anymore. They have taken the decision when they take on a coach. And then they do probably most of my coaching clients, we have the coaching session. And they have some time set apart straight after the coaching session because they're just in the momentum, they're just in the mood, and they just keep working on the business as a result of the focus sheet and of the coaching session. So it's, for me, it's discipline is most of the time it's looked at, okay, this is difficult. Discipline is when you look back and you have done all the work and you see all the checks. For example, in my Ironman training, yes, it's a lot of practice every week, and when it rains, I don't feel like going on the bike, so I have the roll. So there's lots of alternatives that I can put in and flexibility. But on the end of the week, my brain wants to see a green sheet, which is everything is ticked off green. Okay, so this is with the commitment and with the responsibility. So yeah, therefore, when people know the value of working on the business and stopping to reflect, to have some ideas around that, take a decision, then plan on the decision, act on the decision, and then just fulfill the week and with everything that was put inside the calendar. So basically, if you have the right routine of using a calendar, if you have the right routine of on the bookends of your day, like I said in the beginning, it's a mindset, mind reset, and set your mind. The discipline is a consequence. It's not the real difficulty. Hopefully that makes sense. At least that's how I feel it.
I feel like we could just end the episode right there. You have just given so much gold already. I mean, that is just such a powerful way of reframing discipline that kind of often the word feels heavy, there's responsibility, it feels, like it's hard work. So I love that. Love that. Give me an example of a business owner, a client that you've worked with that you've really kind of helped turn around when it comes to this framework.
Well, actually, I can talk about sometimes business owners get to us as business coaches and they don't take the decision on the spot. It's not the right time. It's not the right moment to take us on as a business coach. But they stay connected because we have planted a seed in their minds. In this case, it's Alexander and Joanna. They are the third generation in the business, family business, in the jewelry and retail of jewelry, very typical Portuguese jewelry. And actually, they are very bright, very good in mathematics, very good in setting up spreadsheets, but they had some limiting beliefs around communicating and leading a team. And as they, in the last 3 years, they've grown like, I think, almost 500%. In their revenue, with keeping the same margins, which is always fantastic. But they had limiting beliefs around, how can we develop people? We feel we are very task-oriented, but we feel limiting beliefs in holding people accountable, really to follow up on everything. So being a manager, a people manager. So we had to go back and, okay, this is a limiting beliefs, where do they come from? So we had to go back from their education, where it all came from. And it was the mindset because they're reading a lot, so they didn't have any difficulties in stopping and to read and to study, but it was more like the confrontation with the team. It was like, okay, let's set up a weekly meeting. Okay, how do we do that? I don't see it happening. And in the first meetings, it didn't go right well because I asked, who did the talking in the meeting? I said, I did the talking in the meeting. So on your team, how much the time did they talk? Well, they was just listening. Okay, that's one thing is that you have to change. Is that you do less talking and they do the talking so that they feel involved and they feel included. So it's mindset, mind reset and set your mind. It's to learn from your mistakes, get a feeling, really, learn from whatever you can switch around. If there's something that you don't want, okay, try the opposite and see if that works out. And most of the time, all the people that I've been working with in these 14 years, I feel they always have the solution. They always have the answer to my questions. I just need to push them a little bit further and go a little bit deeper so that we really touch the basic point, which is, how do you think about that? How do you feel about that? How do you set your mind to it? How can you overcome that challenge? And then, of course, you come to this things of discipline. And this team, they've grown from like 6 people to 25 right now. So they're rapidly growing, and now the growth is easier because they have the communication routines set up. They have good conversations, very objective conversations with their team. They have middle management set up, and I believe, for me, our where business can go wrong, it's not so much in the early years where the business owner still can hold everything together, like 10 people, right? You have 2 hands, fingers in each, you can hold 10 people together. But when it goes beyond that, and especially businesses in Portugal, and I think around the world, when they get to the size of 2 to 5 million, 15 to 40 people, it really comes down to set up this middle management, to have a intermediate leadership team that, of course, needs to be an example, that needs to be an extension of yourself. But leading managers is different than leading or managing technicians. And that's where, you need to have a complete different mindset or framing to do that. But lots of things around discipline. And in this case, they really did make a turnaround in a way that they were like being enslaved in the business. They were doing a lot of hours. And then everything was from family life a little bit put aside. And not anymore. So the business was running well, but they were doing it with a lot of sacrifice. And right now, that's not the case anymore. So I see really that if you change your mind around something, and if you're open to it, to try a different approach, then magic happens. It's like it's an overnight success that takes a lot of months to create and to craft.
Yes, sometimes. Yeah, it's interesting what you said around they had a belief system. And so they had to have an open mindset to change or do things differently, which is a new version of their be as a business
Mm-hmm.
owner. So
Mm-hmm.
whether we call it limiting beliefs or we call it belief systems, you know, being open to think differently or re-education,
Mm-hmm.
re-education. I mean, when it comes to having an open mindset to thinking differently, we have these belief systems that are programmed for often an early age of life. And then we carry them into, adulthood, business. But often, like if you look at that example of team where they didn't want to hold people accountable or had a belief system around holding people accountable in a team, where would a belief system like that come from?
Both have been working for somebody else before that, and I believe that experience. So they worked in one of the big five consulting companies, and where everybody wants to work there, but there's not really a good example of good leadership. It's like people are almost enslaved to work there many hours and this and that, and it is only my belief that some things went wrong on that direction. That's why they left that corporate world and that system. Also, I saw that from the education part itself. I've met the mom. I didn't meet the grandfather, but especially in Portugal, if you look at the recent history, the democracy is only like 40 years old, 50, yeah, from the 70s, late 70s. So there's lots of things that are changing with this younger generation that are in conflict with the older generation, and especially in this case, it's the third generation. So there is this respect for the mom, but not really in agreement with how she was running the business. And then yeah, the limiting beliefs pop up. I can't change it because of my mom, or so. Yeah, this family
I'm not
business
sure
is a
that's just in
very it's a very
Portugal. I think that's globally.
probably it's global. Yeah, human beings feel the same. So and um, what I've come to understand, Michelle, is over time is people are not aware of how they think, how they feel. They are not aware of how they make decisions when it's not only logical decisions. And the first when you start talking about it, it doesn't feel any natural because it's uncomfortable. You're going to a part in your brain where you suddenly, yeah, there's some things we don't know, and that's the beauty of it. So suddenly you become aware. Like when I took an extra course in corporate coaching, one of my trainers, one of my teachers, she is a specialist in intuition coaching, using your intuition, using your extra brains. So we don't think only with this brain. We also have our intestines and our heart, where we can capture several signals. And if you learn the mechanics of it, it makes a lot of sense. But if you don't know what you don't know, you don't question. When you're ignorant, just things happen and pass by. When you get to know things, really you get conscience on what is the possibility, and to grow as a person. So there's many things. And I'm a mechanical engineer, and to learn those things around intuition, which is not so like change and engines and combustion. So it's a little bit different to learn and to study, but it really all helps. It's helping me as a parent. I have now two adolescent kids, so one is all a young adult. And there is no manual, right? So we have to listen to our gut, we have to listen to our feelings, listen to ourselves, stop and just reflect and see what pops up in our minds, and then use that. And it's a powerful. We have a powerful machine, our brain, and we're not probably most of us are not using it to its potential. But yeah, that's where coaching is good for. You gain conscience of what's possible, and you build on that.
I feel like we could do a whole other episode just on intuition. So we'll have to schedule that in. But Ken, is that, that's really the advantage of a coach, like you said, of really holding the mirror up to already what you know to be true for you, to tap into that, wisdom that you already have within. And I think that's the beautiful thing about coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we learn from all of our clients. We take little bits and pieces. So we're kind of selfish because we like to learn as well. We take bits and pieces from several clients along the road, and then apply it. And in coaching, something for me is very important. We are equal parts and in a non-judgmental way. So it's a very good book as well about nonviolent communication, and it's great for leadership because we judge. Whether we want it or not, we judge, we evaluate. And if we can put that a little bit aside, and like you said, for me coaching, when I'm the coach, I'm using the mirror. I don't look inside. I don't feel I work hard in order for people to feel that I'm not judging. So my nonverbal language is not showing any signs. I'm just listening like a mirror, and then I reflect it back to them to see if they can really understand of what they've just said. And that's the power of coaching. And if you then use it with all the tactics in business, it's really it's we're building people, and it's the people that build the business. So if you keep building people, the business will be growing in a natural way.
So much wisdom in our interview today. Amazing. Thank you for all that you've shared. I just want to ask you 3 questions. Now, you've already mentioned a number of books already, but what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? It's hard to tell or to let you know the favorite business book, so I have to mention 2. And it was one that I read earlier this year, which makes a lot of sense, not only for me as a business owner, but also all the businesses I coach, which is a book. It's called Who, Not How. Many of us business owners, many of the people I coach, they always, okay, I've set a goal, how I'm going to achieve that. And it's the other way around. It's a now, who do I know that wants, that can help me? So it's a who and not how to do it. Who will do it and not how I will do it. And then the other one I already mentioned, it's what business owners do. It's building team, it's buying back your time. And Dan Martell has done a great job. And it's about time management. It's about priorities. So I've read hundreds of books, but these really stood out of assisting people to really grow the business, because they have to put the right people in the bus. And then it's okay, how can I buy back my time by doing that, having the right people on the bus, and then keep growing. Of course, there's lots of things about marketing, about sales, about management, but this is the mindset of really growing the business with people, and it needs to be the right people on the bus.
And who's been the best mentor or coach for you throughout your career?
Well, it's hard to mention one person, so I've prepared 2, or to think of 2. And first of all, it's the founder of Actioncoach that really stood up so many years ago, because he saw that businesses were failing in a too high rate than really needed. And what I've learned from Brad is, okay, for every $10 or $100 or euros that you invest, how can you get this tenfold back? So all the investment, how can you work on the return and expect a return? Not only to wish for a return, but to expect a return and to put that as a goal. And the other person that really has been helping me over the years is Darren Hardy. He is kind of the person that is in the footsteps of Jim Rohn, really the father of personal development. I have done lots of courses also from Darren, read his books, and really he is an inspiration, and really it is on the mindset. Many things, the way we feel, the way we operate. So very, very good mentors that I always listen to in the car, or when I'm driving, or when I'm on the bike. So it's very good to have people giving insights. And I think 2 things that stand out from Brad and from Darren is that they do not only have one book, and they work with this book for the whole career. They're always learning, always studying, always innovating, and that's in the data set. So it's not how fast you are; it's how you can adapt to the ever changing circumstances. And these 2 really are very good mentors, and I hold them dearly.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received. I think it was one of my mentors, still in my corporate days. He said, Ken, I see that you have potential. I see that you have ambition. Always keep progressing, meaning don't stand still in the same job or in the same project for more than 2 years. You have 6 months to learn it. You have 1 year to really produce. And then you have 6 months to prepare your successor. So if you prepare, it's the same thing with buying back your time and who, not how. It's if you do something right, okay, document it and then prepare a successor. So learn it, do it, prepare a successor. And that was from John Peacock. He had, at the moment in the company I was working with, he was in nearby his retirement, and he took me aside and we had a coffee, and he told me that. So learn it, do it, and then prepare a successor. And that's the same thing that happens in business day to day.
Ken Gielen, thank you so much for your wisdom that you've shared with us today.
I thank you for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure.
Michelle Adams, your host here. Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.